Morning, Las Vegas. How was the Internet 2.0 conference? Woo. Don't worry, guys. I know that the caffeine has not set in yet. Good morning. Good morning. I want to welcome you all. Hi, everybody. I'm Kay Banks. I am your host and your speaker today. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I want to wish you guys a warm welcome here in Las Vegas to the Internet 2.0 conference. Great. You guys do actually have some caffeine in you, huh? Well, this is where innovation meets connectivity and the future unfolds before our eyes. I am your host, I'm Kay Banks, and it's a pleasure to have each and every one of you here today as we embark on the exciting journey into the areas of technology, entrepreneurship, and digital transformation. Before we delve into the dynamic landscape of the Internet 2.0, let's take a moment to reflect on the remarkable journey that has brought us here. So, over the past several years, the Internet 2.0 conference has been a platform of innovation, igniting conversations, and promoting collaborations across the globe. From its inception to its triumphant editions in Dubai, this conference has served as a catalyst for change, propelling us into the next era of digital evolution. Our past successful edition in Dubai has set the stage for what promises to be an extraordinary gathering of minds where industry leaders, visionaries, and distributors converge into explore the limitless possibilities of the Internet 2.0 conference. With each passing year, we've witnessed groundbreaking advancements, transformative ideas, technologies that have reshaped the way we live, work, and connect. Now, as we embark this thrilling expedition, I encourage each one of you to dive into the spirit of collaboration, ignite your creative sparks, and engage in rich exchange and of knowledge and ideas. But first, a heartfelt expression of gratitude to our esteemed gold sponsor, VAA Industries, for their constant support. So, yay for them. Now, remember to reach into your peers, build connections, and exchange your experiences and revelations using the design event hashtag Internet2Conf. So, just keep a lookout for that. Welcome to what we have assured to be inevitable conference journey. Let's seize this forthcoming 3 days as springboard for creativity, motivation, and camaraderie. Now, as we dive headfirst into day one of this conference, I'd like to gauge the excitement in the room. And I know it's early morning. I get it. You guys are tired. You guys have been traveling. Trust me, I get it. But just give me one good woo. We'll do the thing, we'll clock in, and then we'll clock right out, okay? So let me hear you guys' enthusiasm. Just give me on the count of three, just one big, really big hurrah, okay? One, two, three. I love it. You guys are clocked out. Now, that's what I like to hear, okay? Our journey today begins with the topic that serves as the cornerstone of the Internet 2.0 conference, the future of artificial intelligence and digital transformation. So imagine a world where machines do not only perform tasks, but also understand, learn, and adapt to our needs in real time. This session will unravel the mysteries and unveil the possibilities of AI in shaping the future of industries, businesses, and society as a whole. So please welcome to the stage our session's mediator, Daryl Tagashi. Mhm. We're not- that's what I
Sure. Welcome. Sorry, we have a bit of a. Actually, this is not the AI piece. This we are in the discussion of the how AR, VR, MR can revolutionize customer experiences. That's the this our topic for today. So I wanted to welcome everybody and thank you. As she said, my name is Daryl Tagashi. I am a full-time uh, faculty member at Purdue Global in computer science and innovative technologies. I also wear multiple hats. I'm the director for the Collegiate Cyber Defense Competition in Indiana. So I run a lot of the statewide competitions, and I'm also the president for InfoGuard chapter. So I get involved with a lot of the different aspects of the industry as well. So that's enough about me. I'd like to bring up some of our panel. Umar, would you like to come up? I'll have them introduce themselves. They can talk about what they do and how well they do things and that.
Hi, good morning. Can everybody hear me?
Go ahead.
Let's do it here. Okay. So I'm Dr. Umer Khan. So I am a practicing physician, internal medicine trained, and I work in a hospital-based practice. So I have been personally in health tech for a couple of years now, more than a couple of years. I saw issues in the healthcare industry and matters that needed to be improved upon. For example, patients forgetting to take care of their medications and missing their medications, and then ending up in the ER with DKA, stroke, heart attacks. So I went into health tech, developed mobile applications, patient compliance applications. I went into telemedicine, COVID-19 monitoring, and now I am deep into AI and exploring AR, VR. So glad to be here, and hopefully we will be talking in detail. Thank you.
Next is Dr. Navarra.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Humberto Noguera, and I've been working in this information technology information system for more than 20 years already. I have some research in cybersecurity, focusing on drivers of intentions, specifically using the PMT, the preventive motivation theory or protection motivation theory. So, working in different, as I said, areas, industries, pharmaceutical, and well, I think my knowledge will be helpful here for this conference. So, thank you.
Thank you. And our last panelist is Mr. Kothara. Apologies.
Hi, I'm Arvind Kothari. I used to be a coal miner in Mozambique, which is this country north of South Africa. I did that for a while, and then after that, I spent about 6 years building supply chains and renovating products at Unilever, which is this competitor of P&G based out of London and Rotterdam. And these days, I invest time, network, and capital in curious ideas. I basically work with startups and small businesses and nonprofits, sector agnostic. My commitments range from advisory and fractional positions to early stage investments and high value introductions. Looking forward to meeting you all in different sessions, and I hope our panel will be very useful and insightful for you all. Thank you.
Okay. What we're going to try to do is the forum's kind of be open, but what we're going to do is have the panelists kind of go through the pros and cons from their perspective, like healthcare, et cetera, IT, and go through their different topics on that in terms of VR. And we are also going to kind of delve in a little bit on AI, but that's not going to be the main topic. We welcome any questions along the way, but right now we're going to push through on that. So we're going to go with pros and cons is a general topic on that, and from the different perspectives, we'll start with Umar.
Yeah, so pros and cons. Everybody can hear me? Yes. All right, great, excellent. So that's a huge topic. I think I am myself an optimist. And with every new technology, I think I go with more the pros. I want to build things, move fast and move forward, and especially you gotta maybe step back a little bit with healthcare because all the privacy issues and HIPAA and compliance. But definitely I'm in favor of the pros. And just to give you a little bit of a background on this topic, that if you rely on any of the assessments about how big this market is going to grow, so it is expected that up till 2030, the market, AR, VR, in healthcare specifically, that's what I'm going to be talking about, will be growing around 25% every single year. And by 2030, the market expected to, reach 22 billion. So this is a space to, really look at. And in healthcare, the thing to notice is that, healthcare is not like a gaming industry or something that has utility for the common public. Healthcare, you definitely need to have use cases and real incentives, whether it is cost reduction, better patient outcomes. So healthcare is specific with that. And you can have the latest technology, the best gadget out there, but if it's not really useful, I would think that could be a con possibly. But looking at the pros first, for example, let's have a raise of the hand. How many people have been to the hospital and they found it difficult to find your veins for a lab draw? I think my veins are also problematic. So nowadays there is a AR device called AccuVein, and that increases the chance and the likelihood of getting your vein in the first go ahead 3 times. Now I prefer that. I don't want to be a fin cushion. Second positive is from the surgical standpoint. And this is a huge topic. I'm just going to mention a few things. It has been shown, and this was a Harvard review, that surgeons who were trained using AR and VR actually learned faster. And they performed surgeries faster and quicker. And so that is the name of the game. Before, you had to find OR space. You had to see, okay, is this case for gallbladder surgery? People and residents are fighting over who's going to get that case. And they had to mark, okay, you're next, you're next, you're next. Nowadays, you can train ahead of time and be much more prepared from sutures to invasive surgeries through AR and VR, and that is being done. So that is a huge, huge positive. So the cons could be, as we can well imagine in healthcare that I mentioned earlier, privacy, HIPAA, security, hacking, as you were discussing a little bit earlier. So yeah, that is probably the major cons in healthcare. Data and privacy, HIPAA compliance is a big issue in healthcare.
Yeah, I can.
Well, now, how this happen? Why virtual reality, augmented reality? Now we have a mixed reality. How this happened? I mean, I remember back in the days when we used to work with 86 processors, 286, 386, 486. It's kind of, it's been a while, a couple of years. I do remember the first time when Microsoft released the first interactive encyclopedia. That was back in the days in 1995. I do remember that when I saw that, because I used to work with Windows 3.1, Windows, the network part, and I noticed that, where are we going? This is insane. This is amazing what they're doing. And in that disk, back in the days, there was something called a game, a very famous game. And that is very interactive, that you were able to manage the actual whatever icon, and you will be able to do and perform, whatever, go to war and build a civilization, all the stuff. That was very interesting. So that was one of the most famous games there. What am I saying here? Something happened, and it was the hardware part. We were, we had the developers, we had everybody in the gaming industry, and they noticed this is a great market. So they start putting money, investing money and research on it. So what next? We started looking at very huge changes in hardware and processors. For example, Intel created another processor, a coprocessor. Then AMD created their own processor, which abilities, capabilities of gaming, for graphics. Now we have NVIDIA. Everyone here knows, right? NVIDIA, and create new chips, and then they create their own motherboards, and they're all on the entire electronic infrastructure. Well, good. So now what happened? Now we have this gaming, these people moving forward, more research again, investing money, and that's more or less the history. Now this VR, it's been a while. It's been there for a while. I mean, it's been there in the mind of many people, many inventors, many developers. Moving forward, I think that after they found this market, they did think, or they thought basically, and how to improve it or enhance it, like a real life. Like, I don't want you like to go to the Nintendo or Xbox or whatever other, just for mention a couple of them. They really wanted you to have the experience, because that's what basically the gaming, industry wanted you to experience. Well, what happened after COVID-19 during the pandemic? It was a huge change. During the pandemic, many things happened in technology. Many things enhance, many things improve. So virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, that was a concept for gaming purposes, for that the industry. Then, thanks to that technology, we start expanding to healthcare, telehealth. We expanded it to actually commercial profits for non-profits, and also other industry, cybersecurity, education, above all. So, as I said, after this pandemic, things have been improving in that area. So now that's part of the pros about this. Yes, we've been helping technology, helping people to communicate. There's other situations there when we're using this technology. For example, cost. There is a cost that is something that is a drawback here. There's something that we need to continue, but this is part of the investment. This is part of, we were talking about a couple of seconds ago about this area, and how to make this more affordable and accessible for, if this is the real objective of this technology, to be used for many people or different markets. Something very important about this, about the market, some research or researchers mentioned that we have a situation with the demographics. And this is something that I would like to remark. In the healthcare industry, for example, they've been trying to apply VR. They've been trying, or they've been doing it in clinical diagnostic. And they found that there's a situation with specific demographics, the elder, for example. There's some prerequisites, there's some requisites here. Some of them, they're not able to, or they're not familiar with the technology, or they're not digital literacy enough, okay? Because this is a new terminology, digital literacy, to be able to manage and understand this new technology. I think more research must be done, must be, follow. We need to follow up this situation and see how can we help through education and training and awareness, training and awareness for this strata of the population. Now, we know, young generations, they're happy, they're used, they love it. And, well, basically that's one of the drawbacks we have here. With the demographics. The other part, which is very important, as I said, is cost. That means that we have a situation with income. We need to follow up. We need to do some more research about that, and how can we lower cost for these devices. Another situation that I see here that we can continue analyzing, and we need more research on it. It's basically the cybersecurity part. We have nowadays, I know, in parallel, we're working with new EDRs, And we are working with machine learning technology to help to enhance security, cybersecurity, not only in domestic, also in commercial. And I mentioned domestic because I did a study, a research in drivers of intentions to cybersecurity in home users, and my findings were kind of terrifying. Home users are the ones that are being, basically used to attack our business and government infrastructure. So we need to protect, the basics. That's I'm resuming the whole almost 150 pages. But the thing here is that in my research, I found that one way to avoid this problem and help home user the United States infrastructure or worldwide infrastructure against these cyber attacks or cyber criminals is through trainings and awareness and education in cybersecurity. So, well, moving forward, this technology, it's been revolutionary, to be honest with you. I tried, and it's amazing. And there's some differences, there's some different products, makers, manufacturers. There's difference, and some of them claiming that they're the best one in the market. Some of them, But I think that it doesn't matter much if just a few have access to this technology. I strongly believe that we need to do something to help the general population to adopt this technology. And I think that part now it's gonna my colleague is gonna help us here to figure it out how we're gonna do that or some ideas on how to do it. Thank you.
Thanks, Humberto. Um, well, I haven't had my morning coffee, so the moment I start going off script, please stop me, three of you. What I will try to do is I will try to step back a little bit and then try and incorporate all the comments that have been made. And I want to start with the question, how will extended reality, which is the umbrella term for augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality, how will it revolutionize customer experiences? And one of the things that I always discuss with the founders that I work with is that customer centricity is important. And I think this is kind of a motherhood experience. Yeah, it is important, but how do you go about incorporating that? Um, in this particular case, where there is a new technology that is coming in, it's still a kind of a solution looking for the right type of problem. It's important to understand what are the current gaps between the customer experience that our companies or industries are providing versus what is the ideal customer experience that is envisioned. And that itself is a moving target, I understand that. But those gaps have to be understood first. And if there are these gaps there because there are existing inefficiencies in the systems that are already there, or are these gaps there because there is need for a new technology? Because if the gaps are there because of existing inefficiencies, probably the investments of time and money are better made in optimizing some of those systems. And if there is a true need to incorporate a new technology, that's when you start getting into implementing some of these things. A simple example, one of the startups that I work with, they want to bring extended reality into real estate, commercial as well as residential, and help furniture makers, property developers, etc., to communicate better with the customers. This is a very simple use case. We have all either tried it or we are aware of it, or if we start thinking about mixed reality and augmented reality, these are some of the first use cases that would come up. This chair over here. So I have a living room. I want to buy a chair or a sofa or a couch, and I want to see how it looks. So one option is to get the chair in the room and do the experiments. Obviously not effective because the supplier or the furniture maker would have to come back again and again. out of the question. The other is to have a lot of photographs, and then you can put them up against the walls of the room and see, okay, yeah, looks good. The other is to have these realities. You could hold up a tablet and that could superimpose a digital chair and help you to see, or a digital couch and help you see whether it works or not. Now imagine a company that is building these furnitures, and they say that in order to have better customer experience, we need this extended reality piece in our workflows. And so they invest into the app, and people are able to hold a tablet or have these headsets or AR glasses, and they can superimpose some of their furniture on top of the rooms. And they can also play around with the feel of the fabric, how it looks, the color, and so on and so forth. But if in reality the furniture maker is only providing 2 or 3 colors or 2 or 3 designs, and the customer experience requires more variety, the technology cannot help you there. So that is what I mean when I say, are there existing inefficiencies or limitations? So if that is the case, those have to be looked into instead of building an entire system. The thing is, you could probably use the system itself to get there. Let's say there are 3 different designs, 3 different colors available. If you provide the independence to the customers to use the AR app and choose different colors, even colors of the furniture that you do not currently provide, that information itself can be very useful. That, okay, we provide these 3 colors, but most of the trials done on the tablets using our AR app go into the 4th, 5th, or 6th color. That there itself is valuable customer research. So we have to determine what are the gaps. Are the gaps because of existing limitations, or are they because of the technology? And how exactly to use the technology to improve the current situation, for example, in this case, where we get more customer information, or to really use the technology and help people to superimpose a couch on top of their room and so on. The next part, in terms of once you have identified a use case, you have to look at what are the costs going to be. And the costs are not always simply economic costs. Important part of the puzzle, yes. Developing the app, or having the type of hardware that is required, all of that. But then there are other costs associated with the technology as well. The furniture example is a very simple one. But if we go back to what Umer was talking about in healthcare, can we build a system that is fundamentally a step change from our current methods of instruction available to budding doctors? Can VR create? And I'm not saying yes or no. I'm just laying out a question like that. And whatever industry you are in, you could replace healthcare and doctors with the right type of players in the industry. But are we able to create a step change? And at least in the cases of startups that I work with, we have found that more often than not, it is important to start with a smaller problem than to try and impose an entire technology solution onto a very complex system. And some of it follows from Gall's law. You might have heard of it, that every complex system that works properly arose from a simple system that used to work properly. So if you want to build something that is going to be valuable at the right type of cost, start with a simpler use case, a simpler pain point in the customer experience, and go from there. The elements of cost here, as I mentioned, not just the economic cost, but the costs associated with continuous usage of the technology. I believe augmented reality is a simpler technology in that case, but once you start going into more immersive areas like virtual reality, there might be mental costs associated with continuously using these type of technologies. issues like cyber sickness, vision fatigue, and as these technologies become even more immersive, could they lead to PTSD type of things because of continuous usage? Because these experiences might become very, very real very soon. So those type of costs also have to be balanced. The final piece of the puzzle is the content, because ultimately extended reality is about content, and it kind of arises from the economic cost of the entire thing. What type of content is required? Do you require something that is very high fidelity, very close to reality, for example, in healthcare? Or if you are building something, a system in using VR for maintenance of critical components like in the aircraft industry, or if you are using VR for training for firefighters and even military personnel, you need very high fidelity content. So, as a budding startup, can you invest into the infrastructure to do that? Or can you focus on low fidelity content where the quality of the content in mixed reality or augmented reality or VR might not be that high, but that quality is not needed right now. Start small, see what the customers are talking about, and then go from there.
Wow, there's a lot of topics being talked about right there. I think from our side, from the education side, the use case is really the fundamental thing to start with, because not all use cases are applicable in AR or VR or anything like that. And to be able to see whether you have any advantages, like we've tried, what we've done is talking about from the education side and say maybe take our policy class or maybe our nursing class or maybe a cybersecurity class and looked at it and seeing the topics or the outcomes that we want to look at in those particular uh, classes, whether it's appropriate or you really gain anything from putting it into VR, XR. So the use cases I think is very important, like you were saying about expense. You don't want to spend all this money on something and then I'll find out that, it really doesn't really buy you anything into that kind of stuff with that. The other part that we've looked into is on AR. Um, we're a remote school, Purdue Global, and we talked about if you do AR, each student would have their own unique things and they could see things in the background. And talking about privacy or any considerations from that point, not even at a HIPAA level, you may, if like when we're in meetings, right, we like to blur out or have some kind of virtual background image to kind of blur out what our background is, depending on what room we're having our meeting in. It's a similar constraint that we were looking at is with the students, do they really want to reveal some of that stuff that to the other classmates? And the privacy issues along with that piece of the puzzle. The other piece on that is going through when you are talking about proprietary stuff, you could have specific things. Well, being in cybersecurity, I noticed this thing. You do photo forensics and you take a picture and then you can find out all this additional information from it. I kind of look at it from that perspective, but you have to be very careful with that, with different things, with doing things with that process of that. So what we looked at too is trying to figure out, also the piece of the puzzle with the privacy was also with the data collection. Because as we know with games, even with general games or even with general applications, they have that privacy policy. And I tell you now, I've been reading more of those privacy policies that come up, whether you want to use that application to get a general idea of what that came up also with AI. In the beginning, they were using some of the information you put in the prompt to train their models. And now, that's a big thing, and they're kind of trying to be explicit at that as to whether they are how are they using the data or the prompts that you are you're putting into the system. So those are different things that we've looked at from a VR, AR perspective, that, when we are developing, when we're at the other end trying to develop an application, what information are we collecting? Because a lot of times from an educational point of view, we are looking at research, right? And we want to pull in a lot of different data, and try to figure out, what's working, what's not working. But then there's the ethics side of that. Is that something that we should be pulling into? Should we be doing that? And how transparent do we want to be with the students? We should be very transparent as to what data we're collecting. So they have an option to opt out and say, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to give you that information. Or when they're signing up for an application, they say, are you 18? Or, all these different demographics that we're looking at, those different areas of things. So.
I have a comment Humberto was mentioning. So for SaaS startups, perhaps, given the current landscape and the bandwidth, how is scalability? I'm going to have you answer that, but I want to touch on a topic that Erwin mentioned regarding cyber sickness. So if anybody doesn't know, cyber sickness is a term for motion sickness that you get while having these sets on your head. So there were a couple of studies in the healthcare space that were done on ICU patients. So cyber sickness is something to look at, but it's not that prevalent. So that's not a huge problem. Bigger problem is strain, possibly on the eyes, neck strain, and the dryness. And this was on ICU patients, but definitely something doctors and everybody will be looking at, and we will be getting calls. Hey, I'm having nauseousness and a headache, just like anybody has in motion sickness. And just want to touch on one aspect, and I was mentioning a few use cases earlier from the client experience or the user experience standpoint. So in healthcare, I see this changing numerous aspects, training perhaps, but one thing that everybody can understand probably much easier is that, for example, people in the ICU or on the medical floor perhaps, and they are bedridden, right? 90% of these people who are elderly over the age of 60, they end up needing rehabilitation. They have to go to a rehab center because you can't move patients around. Now you put a device on their head, on their face, and they're able to do motions and move their extremities and legs so that they don't get deconditioned. Now you and I, if we stay in bed for 2 days, we'll be fine. But somebody who's over the age of 65 or 70, they stay in bed for a day, they won't be able to walk the next day. So especially with all the stress in the hospital and the ICU. So definitely, Humberto, if you want to comment on that.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, well, basically the infrastructure that they use is serverless. Some of the time they use specific APIs, and they use specific, in order to control the bandwidth, in order to manage the whole connection. So they have a kind of a mesh topology back in the days when they started using this specific type of communications. Yes, so basically, I hope that answers your question, but basically, moving forward with your comment about cyber sickness, yeah, there is a new topic here. It's called cyber psychology, and in my research, I found that this is something that is affecting very, extremely dangerous for the teenagers, and also, but also. Not only that, that's coming from the social media, because my research covers social media too, but in the virtual reality standpoint, this is helping. Actually, they have a therapy. You can actually perform a therapy through virtual reality, and we need more research on this. I'm not saying it's working perfectly fine. We need to do more research, but I mean the outcomes right now, the data we have till this moment, it's like it's working. It's helping, teenagers, or people with this cyber sickness. So basically that. And remember, something important to follow up him. I was trying to add this comment is that he mentioned something about mixed reality, you know, and this is very important because remember that the virtual reality, the whole idea is based on in four specific pillars, right? Number one is the virtual world, in which we build the actual infrastructure, the environment. You know, we have also the um, I'm sorry, the interactivity. So you know that basically you can receive interaction, you can interact the sensors too, feedback. You touch something, visual. You know, they make you feel like you are like in the actual place. So the mixed reality, it's a good start point. It's a good for this technology, basically.
We got about 10 minutes, so I kind of wanted to say, if we got some summaries, if you want to summarize some things, or you have more to say, that's fine.
I just want to comment on the
Go ahead.
scalability part. Scalability and the cost considerations. There are two aspects to it. Obviously, there is a technology aspect. Can the cost of the technology be brought down in a meaningful time frame, and therefore can be adopted in a widespread manner? But then there is this other component. Even if the costs are prohibitive to a certain extent, there could be innovation on the business model side. Take, for example, Vision Pro, 3,500 bucks. A lot for a device that probably isn't going to be used very frequently. So while Apple kind of waits to perfect the technology and bring the cost down, there could be a simple innovation on the business model side where, just like arcades, there could be headsets provided for rent in many locations. And what that does is that instead of people having to buy the headsets, they could rent them at a reasonable price for a time period and interact with those devices. What it does for a company like Apple is it provides them valuable user input. And what it does for the user is that they don't have to own a very costly device outright. So scalability has that business model aspect as well, where people can innovate in that area and allow the technology to percolate to larger number of individuals or organizations.
And that kind of leads to where some of the problems we had is, not everybody knew how to set up a Quest 3 or, how to set up the headset to even to begin to use that. So we had to do some more traditional training or some way to be able to get them to walk through that piece of the puzzle. And we thought about using some AI and some video combination with the VR, but you need to get into the VR before you can actually get trained for that. So,
Daryl, adding a point there. Actually, that's one of the differences that we have there between Quest 3 or 2 and Vision Pro. Is that you don't need a smartphone to configure and for Vision Pro. You need it for the Oculus, the Q3, Q2. You need it. You need to actually download the app and do that. So with the Vision Pro, that's something that you don't need to.
okay.
The other thing is the controllers, because it's a mixed reality. So but the Quest 3 they have the controllers, but you have the option not to use them. But guess what? If you decide not to use them, there's some application that you're not able to, they're not able to work if you don't have the actual control.
Can't you use your hands though? I thought you
Yes,
could use-
yes, they have a kind of sensors, like sensors feedback, they call it like that. But there's some applications that they don't have that feature.
And that's another problem we have is the standardization of the applications. Like we know now in Windows, you got the little Xbox at the window, that's going to close or the underline is minimized. We don't necessarily have a widespread standardization of different icons or different things with that we could, that the user would intuitively say, oh yeah, this is what I got to do for that.
Absolutely. So I would like to add my last comment. So I see, as a information system, as a person that loved technology since my early, since I was very kid, very child. I strongly believe, I think that we're going virtual reality. This technology is gonna be here for a while, for a long time, and I think we're gonna enhance this technology. And I think we're going to be able to help not only in the cybersecurity. Artificial intelligence is getting into that right now. So we're going to have more features. We're going to have more tools available for us, and I strongly believe that that's going to help a lot. The IT, the information technology, or the industries around the world. I hope that everybody can have access to this amazing technology very soon. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment on the cybersecurity side. I think we keep it simple and look at it as a new application, irregardless of the technology or the use case of it, and apply it to our policies or add new policies like AI. We had to add new policies to our IT procedures to look at additional things that are specific to that particular AI, AI in general, or into VR and that kind of stuff. So I think from that policy procedure side, if we can kind of make sure that we do our natural audits and be able to, when we add any new system, like if I add a new access point to my system, there's got to be a policy for that, right? For security and all that. So as long as you keep that general policies, concepts, or keep it simple to that, I think then you'd be good. You'd be good with that. You may not know all the answers for that or see all the loopholes for that, but at least that's a start so you can address that and then try to learn a little deeper onto that. I'd like to open it up for any questions or anything. We have a few more minutes, 5 more minutes. Are there any questions? Let's see with the lights. Any other comments, Shelley?
Yes, somebody has a question?
Oh, yeah. Be careful.
I think the question is for the three of you. Which industry do you see that could leverage AR VR the most? That probably will be what do a lot of the enhancement or development, and then the other ones will benefit from it.
I see it in education quite a bit, especially there's a move for remote. And with our students, I think the missing piece of the puzzle is a lot of times we have, this interaction, right? I'm sitting here, I can see, I have, you got body language, you have people's faces, you can kind of see and that kind of stuff. With AR or with the VR, we have those rooms that you can get into. We've experimented with getting into some of the standard rooms and even just having the video on for the students, and they're kind of just see the face, but they're in the room and they're kind of interacting. We see a little bit of an engagement difference with that. We see that as a thing. Go ahead.
Maybe since I'm a healthcare guy, I think healthcare is probably the main. So apologies for.
Well, no, you're fine. You're fine.
So I like to look at it as training for both doctors, residents, ALS, BLS, how to do a Heimlich maneuver, everything related to healthcare. Then information, patients, communication is a big issue. People don't understand, and doctors and nurses don't have the time to, go down at the basic level to explain everything in detail. AR, VR will be, suitable. Then performance, we talked about surgical performance and outcomes are much better, and training of students in Q&As with the patients and providing feedback. Then sedation purposes or pain control purposes, you can, for a certain period of time, you can have patients forget about their pain, forget about their worries, and make the patient experience a little bit better. So I think that that's probably healthcare is going to be huge, and connected with AI. I think this is going to be huge in the future regarding the use of Da Vinci robots, where currently suturing is being done very aptly, much quicker than through a doctor who's been being trained. So I think healthcare is huge in the application of this technology.
And I will say that in our research and trying to find existing VR experiences, healthcare is way ahead in regards to building experiences that are out there versus any of the other fields that we've been trying to kind of acclimate into, like cybersecurity or anything like that. But we also have been talking with our healthcare department and talking about those types of similarities where patient interaction, the same with us, where we have a student come in and maybe having a C-suite interaction or an IT manager interaction or being able to talk to a group of people, those kind of things like that. So we're trying to find commonalities where, like the cost effect, where we can program some similar types of experiences and cases, but we change the scenario a little bit so that it fits more maybe the healthcare versus IT or something like that. So, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, guys.
Well, one more, and then we'll finish up.
Well, we are around, so if you want to discuss something, very happy to share our thoughts further. Thank you for your patient ears.
Yes,
And
thank you.
looking forward.
Give it up to our panelists. Thank you so much.